she's physically grounding herself out of the anxiety of her mind.
Yeah, there are a few songs that make me wonder if Taylor has been in therapy. And we obviously don't need to know and wouldn't know, but this is one of them. Like,
yeah,
it seems like therapy is kind of within the current of this.
Yes. We don't know and we'll never know, and that's fine. It's a very private thing. But I strongly suspect she has been in therapy no short amount of time. Hello and welcome to Theratay. My name is Katie and I'm with my co-host Ashleigh.
Hi.
We are not therapy, but we are a good time. And today we're discussing the song Labyrinth on Taylor's second to newest album, Midnights. So, Ashleigh, you chose the song. What made you select Labyrinth?
I did. I love this song. The lyrics that stood out to me when I was listening through the album was breathe in, breathe through, breathe deep, breathe out, which there's a sign over there if for anybody who's watching. So I think that's what caught my attention as far as like a therapy perspective. But we have a lot here. We have like anxiety, some bargaining, some grief, some trauma. And then rebuilding trust. And then as I was listening today, I kind of realized that like some of what she says could describe like a therapeutic relationship.
Oh, I'm interested to hear more about that. We've already got the hands on. Ashleigh's signature move.
I was listening and I was like, wait, because okay, I'll just dive into it.
Let's dive in. Yes.
Okay. So here are some lyrics that stood out to me, and I'll point out the ones that were kind of connected to therapy.
Okay.
It only hurts this much right now was what I was thinking the whole time. I feel like that's where we get some bargaining. I'll be getting over you my whole life. So that reminded me of grief. Breathe in, breathe through, breathe deep, breathe out. That's like a good, just a classic coping anxiety thing to do.
Yeah, mindfulness. We love it.
And I love the breathe through. Like you're not just breathing through something.
Like you're in pain and breathing through it.
Yeah, it's so good. It only feels this raw right now. That reminded me of therapy.
Yeah.
For somebody who's like just coming in, like it feels raw when you're diving into all of this stuff, but it's just for right now.
Right.
We'll get through that. Right. Okay. And then you know how much I hate that everybody just expects me to bounce back just like that.
I love that you're like picking these lyrics to talk about.
Because I feel like that also can describe therapy. Right? Like there's if somebody finds out that somebody's going to counseling, sometimes there's this pressure of like, well, how much progress are you making? Right? Or
give
like
an update.
Yeah, you went through this hard thing. Like how long are you going to like experience those feelings? Shouldn't you be over it by now? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So those were some of the lyrics that reminded me of therapy. And then I also love this section where she says, break up, break free, break through, break down. You would break your back to make me break a smile.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could also be connected to therapy in some ways.
Ooh, say more about that.
Like I, as a therapist, as a counselor, do feel that way. Like I want my clients to be okay.
Oh, break my back. For you.
With boundaries.
Cheers to boundaries.
And I think there's like another way that I kind of viewed that lyric too of like, okay, we don't need to like pretend the feelings aren't there and like dance around to make you smile.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just really love that that section too. So any lyrics that you wanted to point out, Kate?
Yeah, so some of them are pretty similar. So I'll just read the ones. It only hurts this much right now. Uh-oh, I'm falling in love again. And I really want to dive into the uh-oh. You know how scared I am of elevators. Never trust it if it rises fast. It can't last. Then of course the breathe in, breathe through, breathe deep, breathe out. I'll be getting over you my whole life. You know how much I hate that everybody just expects me to bounce back, so we chose some similar lyrics. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around? It only feels this raw right now, lost in the labyrinth of my mind. So those are some of my lyrics that I chose. And I wanted to offer our listeners a definition of what a labyrinth is because there's a lot of history on that. And so I thought if you're not familiar with what that word is or what that is referring to, it might be helpful to get that word picture. And I apologize in advance because it goes back to Greek mythology and I will butcher the pronunciation of these Greek names. But essentially, in mythology, the labyrinth was an elaborate, confusing structure that was designed and built by a legendary artificer, Dalius, for King Minos of Crete at Noxus.
You're doing great.
Thank you. So its function was to hold like a mythical creature called the Minotaur. And basically just imagine like a maze. So if you've seen Harry Potter or like Alice in Wonderland, like they use a labyrinth where if you can't see where you are in it. And if you have an aerial view, it's pretty easy to figure out where to enter and enter and exit, but not if you're in it. It's very confusing. So just kind of picture that in your mind as you listen to this song. And can I share some general observations I made?
Please do. I'd love to hear them. Yeah.
So my observation was that it sounds like she's coaching herself through a really hard situation. That's just like overall. And I think the song is talking about hope and the vulnerability of hope and how risky that is to express desire and hold desire, because when you stay alive to desire, you're staying alive to disappointment and to loss and to grief. And you can't have one without having the other. And so I think the song really embodies the tension of hoping for something, knowing that this might end up hurting you. And then
before you move on, I feel like we just need a moment for that. Like I think you pointed something really good, that like hope feels vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like sensitive or not weak, but like the potential for risk is there,
mm-hmm.
right?
Like fragile. Yeah, it's very tender.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Brene Brown says that the most vulnerable emotion is joy, and I could not agree more with that. Because when you've been through loss or heartbreak, joy feels like such a cost because you feel like you're risking the pain that you've gone through before. And we can get into why that isn't exactly true, but why it feels true. And I thought it was worth noting that the only time that Taylor uses the word labyrinth is when she's describing the labyrinth of her mind, which is interesting. So this is a mental labyrinth that she's in, of confusion over this like relationship or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they're not in it together. Yeah.
So there's like this like sense of she's in the labyrinth of her mind. There's a lot of mental confusion, and then she's also bringing in her body through the breathing. So then, if you know me, I'm really big into somatic therapy. So she's talking about like being lost in her mind and grounding herself through her breath, which is like a mindfulness exercise. So I really thought that was a clever. I suddenly like clicked for me all of a sudden. I was listening to that song, going, "Wait a second, she's physically grounding herself out of the anxiety of her mind."
Yeah, there are a few songs that make me wonder if Taylor has been in therapy. And we obviously don't need to know and wouldn't know, but this is one of them. Like, it seems like therapy is kind of within the current of this.
Yes. We don't know and we'll never know, and that's fine. It's a very private thing, but I strongly suspect she has been in therapy no short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, everything she's been through.
Yeah.
Well, I think those are really great insights.
Thanks.
Anything else you wanted to share before?
No, those are just the general things that I just kind of, not specific. We can get into the details of it, but
yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Do you want to lead us off with the first question that you would ask?
Yes, yeah. So, what is it like for you to build trust again after being hurt? I kind of pictured somebody who's like been like on a desert island almost, right? Like I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm sunburned, and like the aloe is like it feels good, but it's so hard, right? Like it stings a little bit.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Even though it's good for you. So what is it like for you to build trust again after being hurt? And then how do you advocate for yourself when people have higher expectations than your capacity allows?
Let's talk about advocating for yourself.
Let's talk about it.
Can you speak to it more?
Yeah. So this is where I'm kind of addressing like what we talked about before, where, you know, people might be asking you about a lot of progress, or, I'm going to make you smile, or like, let's just pretend that's not there.
Mhm.
And we're not always in a place to do that. And maybe if we like force ourselves to do that, that's
Mhm.
unhealthy. And sometimes, we have to function, right? We can have our
Yeah,
emotions and do the things that we need to do.
exactly.
But to say like I'm really not in a space that I can do that right now is
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes that has to do with a relationship. Sometimes it's with an activity. And really what
Mhm.
that's talking about is boundaries.
It is. And it's like vulnerable and brave to say, like, I need this. And I think for a lot of people, there can be a preference for somebody to just like read my mind or get the hint without ever having to use my words. Just know this about me that I'm like past my limit, or I need a break, or I need to step back, or I'm overcommitted. But it's not someone else's job to say that. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind if somebody were to offer that, but like ultimately, if you need a break and you're an adult, take your break. you know
Yeah.
so I love that you like talk about how it's like it is your job to advocate for yourself if you are empowered to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be hard to come to those conclusions and say, like, okay, yeah, I'm pushing myself too hard.
Hmm.
Because I mean, personally, I want to be Wonder Woman and I want to do all
Yeah,
the things and pretend like nothing matters other than all the things that I have to do.
right.
And that's not healthy, turns out.
Turns out, learn that lesson.
But we made
We did.
it.
We're on the other side.
What questions would you ask this person, Katie?
Where and how do you find hope to believe that it only hurts this much right now?
Mm,
I find the words right now to be very powerful. And so if a client were to say that to me, I would be like, that's insight. How did you gain that insight? Let's really hone in on that. Um, it's shaping the narrative that what you're going through isn't permanent and that you can endure. And I love how like, and I'll coach my clients and myself to like add those words like right now or at the moment or for today. It like puts a limit on like what I'm experiencing to say I can get through this.
mm-hmm.
And then I want to ask the question, what makes you say, uh-oh, I'm falling in love again? You make that statement. I thought the plane was going down. How do you turn it right around? But my question is actually for you. How did you turn it around?
Mm,
Because you are saying like the other person turned the plane around, but you have opened yourself up to love, which is a very vulnerable thing to do a second, like at least a second time, right?
mm-hmm.
Again. And so that tells me that you've actually turned the plane around. So what is the story there? What work have you done to allow this to be true for you, this opportunity?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a
So
really good insight.
yeah, those were my questions.
Okay. Well, I would love to hear from you more. What would you validate?
I would kind of validate the lyrics. I'll be getting over you my whole life. You know how much I hate that everybody just expects me to bounce back. Because I feel like these two lines completely sum up succinctly the experience of grief.
Mm-hmm.
And you can swap that, grief for anything else, but I think uniquely grief is an emotion and an experience that few people are comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And so people might be understanding, but then there's like this like invisible clock that's going. And then when you hit a certain point, people are expecting you to not have down days anymore, or they're expecting you to be able to move forward, or not have to take time off, or to stop talking about the thing. And just this idea that I'll be getting over you my whole life. Like, yeah, grief is always going to be the size that it is. Like, I kind of like compare it to a boulder. Like, if a boulder like rolled into a path that you were walking on, that boulder will never shrink
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to go away. You just have to grow around it. And when you grow in a capacity that allows you then to pick up that boulder and keep moving, or you can climb the boulder, or you could somehow have to move around it, you have to live with it now, but it doesn't ever shrink. And so I just love that it felt like very validating of like, I'll be living with this my whole life. And it's like you will. Your life won't end because of it, but it is there now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw something online that said it's kind of like a cardigan. Like grief is just kind of around you and you walk through life with it. It's just like something that, although the problem with this analogy is you can take a cardigan off, but you can't just like remove grief.
Yes.
But sometimes it can, it will like, sometimes it can be like comforting in a way. Like grief also honors whatever that was that you're grieving, right? Like if you don't grieve it, then that's showing that it may not have meant as much too. And I'm not talking about avoidance. I'm talking about like if there wasn't meaning to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The significance. But I love that you didn't use any like personal pronouns when you just described that process, like the thing that you're grieving. Because I think sometimes like this, and I've had people, I've said that before, like I told someone like, oh, I'm grieving something right now. And then their first question was, who died? And I was like, nobody. This isn't a death. And I think that can be a quick assumption that if you're grieving, it's because like you've lost a person, but you can grieve all sorts of things that are not the death of a person.
Yeah.
You know, so I appreciated that. It was like a subtle little insight you added there.
And I think we should grieve a lot of the things that we lose in life.
Yeah, I've heard the term micro grief and micro laments, and I really like that because and it can be like the smallest thing. Let's say like, you know, you woke up and let's say you have a chronic illness or a disability and you wake up and you really were hoping today you'd feel really good and you just don't. And you're like, okay, well, my whole plans have to change. Or maybe you've got kids and like something happens and like, oh, we can't go because they got sick. Or and these are quote unquote small things, but they mattered.
Yeah.
And now they're not going to get to happen. And so that's sad. I was really expecting this to go well and it didn't.
Yeah.
I'm just bummed about that.
Yeah.
Like, my life is not fundamentally changed, but like, I'm sad and I get to be sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadness is okay.
Sadness is okay. Are there any things that you would add or continue to validate?
Yeah. So, feeling like the rawness and pain, but still seeing the hope that someday you'll be healed from this, not forgotten, but okay. Like not forgetting the thing that you're losing or what you've been grieving, but you are going to be okay. And then it's okay never to get over something. Some things are meant to kind of mark you. Yeah. And that's kind of what you said before. But I think some of the hardest things in life can define us in really beautiful ways if we allow them to. Not that we would ever want those things to happen. But yeah, I think of your lyric, like you drew stars around my scars. You know, like they're not that we want to like put like a positivity sticker on something hard, but like once we go through that processing, you know, being able to see like, okay, like I am a different person and some of that is sad and some of that is okay. Like I'll take that.
Yeah. And I've kind of heard the phrase like learning to like walk with a limp or like love the limp or something like that, of like you went through this hard experience and it like whether physically or emotionally or some way changed you, and we can grieve that like, oh, I miss the person I was before this was on me, but this is part of my story now. Like you can integrate it into who you are. You can allow it to be just like an aspect of growth or something that you can share with other people and help them, or an example. Like there's like a redemption arc essentially is what I hear you saying. Yeah. There's a possibility for that.
Yeah. Right. And some things, I mean, some things don't turn out the way that we're talking about either. Right. And I want to make space for that too.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that suffering is a really hard concept because I think we all want our redemption arc to come out of it, and sometimes that's not apparent. Sometimes just horrible things happen. Yeah. And we don't know why.
And that's where the rawness can sit with us for a while. Yeah.
If there is no apparent meaning from it or for it. Yeah.
And that's such a beautiful thing in therapy because we get to just sit and be like, this sucks.
Yeah. And how healing and validating is that when like somebody just says, I agree with you. I see that. I get it. And like there's no attempt to fix, there's no attempt to distract, to avoid, to cheer you up, but just here it is.
Yeah. Recommendations wise, it's similar to what you were just talking about. Feeling it as you're able, right? Like allow yourself to feel those feelings as you feel like you have capacity for.
Yes.
Sometimes they're overwhelming, and we don't want you in a place where you're like, too intensely feeling those things. But as you're able, allowing those feelings to take space is really important.
I think you're referring to like emotional flooding.
Yeah.
Like we don't want somebody to be flooded or overpowered to the point where they can't process the feelings. Or you
Mm-hmm.
can't swim when you're being flooded, you know?
Yeah. We want you to be able to swim.
Yes, you need to swim.
Yeah. I also said don't rush the process and don't give up on it.
Yeah. And that's what I hear the song is doing really well. Like it's not trying to rush. It is trying to say, like, oh, this thing is happening.
Yeah. How about you? What recommendations did you have?
I said, perhaps you see yourself as the person who has opened themselves up again, and perhaps you can notice that you are the one who is courageously moving towards hope. And so in the song, there seems to be like this person turned this around, and I'm like, well, maybe give yourself some credit. You've actually allowed yourself to be in this place as well. And so kudos to you. Notice that. And sometimes, a lot of people can miss their own progress. And some of my favorite sessions and moments with clients are when I get to like rehearse, like, remember this, remember that. Like there's like 5 examples I can come off the top of my head where you did really well. And it just feels like one of those moments where it's like, you get some credit, friend, like take it. You've done the work.
Yeah. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Such a cool job that we have.
It is. I love it. We both love it. We love being therapists.
Oh yeah, it's a great job. It's the best job.
Anything you would challenge?
Yeah, this was tough for me because I feel like this person is doing a good job. So take this challenge with a grain of salt. But try to trust again. And even saying that, it was like, ooh, this feels kind of gross to say. Like when it's appropriate, when you feel like you can, don't force it. But I also said, don't allow the labyrinth to take over 100% of the time. I think we can feel so lost in it. Like there might be like what's the thing? The lifesaver.
Life preserver.
Life preserver. Yeah. Like there might be one of those out there, but you're like, still like, but I don't know if I should take it. It's like, just, if you could just grab it.
If you could just please take it.
Yeah. What would you challenge?
Like you, I didn't really have anything in particular that I would challenge in the song. I just thought it was really well. This song is a well-adjusted client.
Yeah.
Doing really well.
Yes. Still in the middle of the process.
Still in the middle of the process.
And we don't have that much to challenge, which should tell you something.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're doing great.
Yeah.
I would just offer the encouragement that like whatever you're doing is whatever hope that you have is worth it. Like stay the course. This is worth it. You don't know where this could lead. It could be really amazing. And if you've come so far, if this goes to crap and it breaks your heart, what have you shown yourself that you can get through this?
That's so beautiful.
So take the risk. You will be able to swim your way through this one. And I love that encouragement. I use it for myself. I like to offer it to clients that like, what have you done before? Could you do this if it all went horribly? Yes. Okay. Answers that. Here we go.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I kind of jumped the challenge into encouragement.
No,
is there anything
I think
you would encourage?
No, I'm just like soaking that in. That's so beautiful. Yeah, to encourage, I said keep feeling your feelings, engage in the process. The process is a gift, even though it's incredibly hard.
Yeah, the process is a gift. I feel like that is so cliche sounding, but it's rooted in so much truth. And the process is where it happens.
Yeah. So all that to say, thanks for doing this with me, Katie.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, next time we're going to be doing Karma, which was a song request we're very excited about. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, our handle is therataypodcast. If you want to request a song, it's therataypodcast@gmail.com. And thank you, Jeremy, for editing this podcast. Anything else?
We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.